What's up guys, it's Lord Both here for another video, and Nexus Mod has been sold.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Now, I don't even really think of Nexus Mod as like a company. It's always weird for me to think of game modding sites as like an actual business, a company. But I guess they do make money, right? They make money off of ad revenue probably, and their premium service that they have. And as we all know, and if you don't know anything about modding video games, Nexus Mod is essentially the Walmart of modding gaming sites. You want a mod? Nexus Mod probably has it. They're the biggest guys on the block. They're the most well known. They're the Netflix. Everybody knows Nexus Mod in their name. The problem with that though has also been that because Nexus Mod is so big, whenever they implement silly rules, there's a bit of a big stink about it. And they have been known to ban mods or get rid of mods for ridiculous and political reasons. Woke. Let's just say that it is definitely a site and business that is not a fan of the Orange Man or any of the political policies that fall on his side of the aisle. That said, apparently, although it wasn't explicitly said so that the company was sold, only that ownership or control had been transferred to other people in a statement by the guy who actually ran Nexus Mod. But Nexus Mod does have new controllers, it seems. And there's a lot up in the air about how they're going to run the company. And this comes to us from PC Gamer, and as you can see, the editor did not care about doing any work on this headline. So here it goes. Nexus Mod's new owners promise they won't monetize the site to death as users panic at the width of venture capital. The new owners are here, not sitting in a distant tower, remotely directing us all towards some nefarious goals. Like I said, clearly Joshua Woolens here, who wrote the article, nor his editor, seem to really care about editing the massive headline they put on this thing. Anyway, the article states, after 24 years in the modding biz, the founder of Nexus Mods, easily the biggest mod site on Earth, finally hung up the creation kit yesterday. Robin Dark One Scott announced in a news post that he was leaving behind the daily running of the site, telling millions of users that, quote, the strain of being responsible for the behemoth I created has taken its toll. So he's Jack Dorseying it. It's just too much pressure, guys. I can't take it. Running this massively successful thing, it's all coming down on me. I can't take it, guys. Anyway, in Scott's place came new owners, and that's where things immediately got dicey. The people taking up the reins were only referred to in Scott's post by their first names and site username. But after a bit of digging by Nexus users, people quickly put together that the site had come under the umbrella of a company called Chosen, whose homepage declares, "We partner, we amplify, we conquer." Which sounds like the model of something like Umbrella Company. Seriously, what company from Blade Runner did they get that dystopian phrase from? Users also found the LinkedIn page of one of Chosen's founders, featuring content like a gaming startup monetization cheat sheet.
Oh, that's not right.
Featuring entries on play to earn, microtransactions, pay to play, subscription models, and, just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, digital goods and NFTs.
Give it a gas!
So any and every way you can find a way to make money off of gaming or grift off of a gaming startup, these guys are trying to dip their toes into it and teach you how you can squeeze pennies out of customers.
Hands up, cash out.
It all had the width of venture capital about it, which had a lot of people sucking in air through their teeth. Chosen's clear emphasis on growth and monetization on its website had folks worried that Nexus Mod was headed for a rapid enshiftification? Enshittification? Hold on, guys. Enshittification, also known as crapification and platform decay, is a pattern in which two-sided online products and services decline in quality over time. So literally taking something and making it shit. That is an interesting way to change that to make it sound better for journalistic purposes. I like this guy, Joshua Wolins. He's funny. He's a funny guy. He's doing some big J journalism here.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Anyway, the uproar was such that one of the new owners, Foldinho, Faliadinho? I don't know how to say it. We're just going to call him Folly. Anyway, Folly has now taken to the site to try to calm everyone down with an announcement that Nexus Mod's core model is going to remain unchanged. Mods will always remain free, Folly says, which isn't exactly a surprise. Trying to sell mods for people's games would likely have games industry lawyers kicking the door down. Well, yes, but requiring people pay access to a website, that's not necessarily charging for the mods. That's charging for access to the website, and we'll get all into that later. But Folly goes further. It won't cost money to download mods. Chosen has no plans to claim ownership of mods uploaded to Netflix. That's good for the creators, I guess. So when there's giant mods that end up becoming massively popular that you can download through Nexus, and then maybe they get partnership with the actual game company that put out the game. You're not going to have Nexus Mod come in and try to be like, no, we actually own this. He goes on to state there will be no added restrictions on free accounts. Premium accounts get faster download speeds. That's something that already exists. And anyone who bought a lifetime premium account when they were available won't lose access. Okay, that's all good. A spokesperson also added the new owners are here, embedded in the team, working with us all directly, not sitting in a distant tower, remotely directing us towards some nefarious goals. However, responding to a hypothetical question about additional monetization, Old Folly doesn't deny that any of this is on its way. Instead, he writes, what matters most is continuing to support mod authors, delight users, and keep the lights on.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Sounds like new creative ways to monetize the site. He goes on to say, we're not changing the core model, no aggressive monetization, no paid mods. If anything, we're aiming for fewer ads, not more. We'll take a community-first listening approach, and we won't compromise what's made Nexus Mod special. A spokesperson also added, it's clear to me they didn't acquire Nexus Mod to reshape it into something unrecognizable. Nothing fundamental is changing, no new ad invasion, no content paywalls. Our goal is to make the site more sustainable with less noise, not more, and will be transparent and community driven every step of the way. And that's all fine and dandy, but you guys purchased a company to, I assume, make money. That's the whole point of business, right? So if you're actually decreasing the amount of ads and you're not adding any other revenue streams, like what are we doing here? The article continues as to why Scott's initial leaving post made no mention of Chosen as a company. Folly justifies it by saying, this post wasn't about Chosen. It was about Robin and the legacy he built over 24 years. We're the new owners and ultimate decision makers at Nexus Mod. We'll share more about ourselves when we've earned that right. See, they're all saying really great things here, but the truth is, A, Scott didn't really actually talk about Chosen in that post because it was a lot about him. Talking about how great he is. Talking about the journey. Talking about everything he's created over at Nexus Mod. Blah, 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 blah. And also another reason why he didn't mention Chosen was because if he did, people would have immediately looked up Chosen, found out what they were about, as they already have, and would have gotten extremely worried, like they have. Why they chose to bury it at all when you knew the internet, especially people who work deep in tech, in gaming, like the modding community were definitely going to figure it out. I'm not quite sure.
Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
But it was their veiled attempt, I think, to do so, which I think makes them look even more guilty than they already kind of were. The truth is, the new owners can talk all day about, oh, we're not going to do this monetization, we're not going to do that, etc., etc. But their whole company is steeped in monetization, aggressive monetization. What are we doing here? And one form of monetization they didn't really mention, and I don't really consider this a paywall, is a credit system. Anybody who's used an AI website at all to generate any kind of basic art or do funny face swap memes, etc., knows that a lot of them will give you a certain amount of free uses per day, per week, per month, whatever. But then as you run out of coins or credits or whatever they have, the little ticker down at the bottom that you can never quite see very well, then it will ask you to start paying. And it typically is a subscription model. And I would not be surprised that if in some way they introduce this or integrate themselves with premium mods, which I know they said, oh, we're not going to charge any money for any kind of mods or content creation. Yeah, but you can charge for access to certain sponsored creator mods, right? Basically DLC without being DLC, because those people don't technically work at the company, right? Essentially the same thing that Bethesda does with some of their Starfield mods. And yes, I have seen Starfield mods. I do have Starfield and it is heavily modded in the vain hope that when I re-download it every 4 months, that it will somehow be fixed and actually be enjoyable.
You are coping.
But the truth is, it never is. It's still a bad game. It's a bad game where I can wear a cool Mandalorian suit now, but it's still a bad game. We also don't know exactly what their rules on censorship are going to be. Scott basically said that this company or these guys are not going to stray from the current values of Nexus Mod right now, which probably means that they share the same cultural political opinions as him and probably will do the same kind of censorship to certain mods that they don't like, just like the company did under him. Now, will they censor other mods, other more spicy mods? I don't think so. Yes, people come to Nexus Mod to get their unofficial patches, to get their goofy little mods that turn all the Griffins in The Witcher 3 into Thomas the Train. But let's be real, a lot of people come to Nexus Mod to get that black lingerie Lady Dimitri-esque mod. That's good stuff, man. Hey, I like them thick, I like them pale, I like them dangerously crazy. Don't kink shame me. But the people you can do that to is these guys at Chosen, because their kink seems to be money. And they seem to be denying it very heavily. But we all see it. And in some way, you and I both know that they're going to try to squeeze money out of us somehow. And nobody wants this more than other modding sites. Because they know we will go to them. They know if somebody pushes us to pay, we will go find another place. We haven't yet so far just because of convenience and namesake. But if somebody pushes us for the money, we're gonna leave. Or at least I am, and I think a lot of other people are. Are you is the question. Go ahead and let me know, and let me know your other thoughts on this in the comments. If you liked this video, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, appreciate you watching all of it, and we'll talk to you again later.